Good evening. 7 News has obtained chilling video of the moment 5 CFS crews became trapped by a wall of flames while fighting the deadly pinery fire. The pictures give a terrifying insight into the life and death scenarios our firefighters faced on that hellish day.
Wednesday, November 25. It's just after 2 o'clock and 5 CFS crews are heading straight into an almighty firestorm. Their task to protect properties in the tiny township of Woolsheds. But they never made it. A wind change turned the massive fire flank into the fire front, and they were directly in its path. Suddenly, day becomes night, and out of the darkness emerges the evil face of the inferno.
We're going to go into burnover. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
Panic sets in and the appliance in front reverses.
Burn over, Scotty, burn over. Burn over, Scotty. Jesus Christ. Burn over.
For 3 agonising minutes, all they can do is sit and wait. The captain makes a mayday call, fearing for 2 crewmen who'd left the truck to turn on water pumps.
I have 2 men out of the appliance. I've got no idea where they are.
I am still in awe that they got out of that without any injuries. I haven't seen fire behaviour like that in my career.
What made this fire so dangerous was the sheer speed at which it travelled, fanned by 90km/h winds and fuelled by dried crops. Ultimately, though, that's what saved those firefighters' lives.
The fire passes pretty quickly because it's in stubble. That would not have been the case if that crew found themselves in a forest fire or a scrub fire.
The CFS says the incident serves as a warning to landowners to leave early. Mark Mooney, 7 News.
Good evening. One of the state's top cops is under investigation for his involvement in a shocking road smash in the Adelaide Hills. The Assistant Commissioner was behind the wheel of a car that collided with a motorcyclist, leaving the rider with serious injuries.
Assistant Commissioner Phil Newitt in the purple shirt has seen plenty of crashes in his career. He used to investigate them.
People must be responsible for their own actions. Every time they get behind the wheel of the car, they must think about the consequences.
Now his actions behind the wheel are under the microscope following this collision with a motorcyclist near Cudley Creek. It happened on December 28 last year, leaving witnesses stunned.
Yeah, pretty uncomfortable scene, honestly. Saw the motorcyclist sitting in the centre of the road. People had already got a shade blanket over the top of him.
Newitt's blue V-dub hit the motorcyclist on Fox Creek Road, leaving the 40-year-old rider with serious head injuries.
Quite a bit of blood from the head, obviously a bit of a knock, broken left arm.
More than 7 weeks on, the investigation into the crash still hasn't been completed. SAPOL says no charges have been laid at this stage and the matter is ongoing. While Phil Newitt is now an Assistant Commissioner, the fact he used to head up the Major Crash Division has raised questions about whether his former workmates should be investigating an accident involving their old boss. SAPOL says the crash is being investigated as per normal, as it involved 2 privately owned vehicles. It's refused to say whether Newitt has been suspended while the investigation's being carried out. Mark Mooney, 7 News.
One of the state's top cops will keep his job despite being convicted over a shocking crash in the hills. Live to Mark Mooney now. And Mark, the Assistant Commissioner won't face any further action.
Yeah, that's right, John. Almost a year after causing the crash, which left a motorcyclist with serious head injuries, Assistant Commissioner Philip Newitt is no doubt breathing a big sigh of relief. Following an internal review, Commissioner Grant Stevens has decided not to take any further action. The fact Newitt wasn't speeding at the time of the crash, his good behaviour at the scene, as well as his early guilty plea worked in his favour. The Commissioner noted that any driver can have a momentary lapse in attention and rated Newitt's careless driving at the lowest end of the scale of seriousness. He remarked that Newitt's wife and children have already suffered significant distress and revealed that he had considered referring this decision to his deputy to avoid any public perception of favouritism, but decided against it. In court last month, Newitt was fined $1,800 and lost his licence for 6 months. The Commissioner says those penalties were sufficient and proportionate. Jane.
More than 100 soldiers training in the South Australian outback are preparing for war in Afghanistan. 7 News was there as they were put through their paces ahead of their deployment early next year.
At the Coltana training base, soldiers are firing up, counting down the days to deployment.
I feel everyone's a bit more prepared than what they thought they'd be, and everyone's just pretty excited to get over there and get it done.
Here, a convoy's patrolling an isolated stretch of road when suddenly an improvised explosive device goes off, leaving one of the vehicles damaged with casualties inside.
Holding, ready to receive.
As Taliban insurgents advance, help arrives and an intense firefight breaks out. It's a frightening insight into the reality facing our troops in Afghanistan.
Hands on the ground!
IEDs are still very prevalent within the Kabul area. You know, there's still the Taliban operating, plus other insurgency groups.
Down!
Here they have to extract a fellow soldier from a house filled with enemy fighters. When these soldiers from the 7th Battalion touch down in Kabul, they'll serve as guardian angels, protecting coalition soldiers against so-called green-on-blue attacks, where an Afghan soldier they're mentoring turns on them.
Been no update to the enemy intel.
Corporal Andrew Wastel knows how important the role is. He was there when a mentor was shot several years ago.
Came and attacked us with their M16 assault rifle.
2 men were hit before he took out the shooter.
The drills that we do here over and over and over again, it's just embedded, so when something like that happens, you work on instinct, you fall back onto your training.
Today he's leading a training mission to transport a mentor in a convoy of armoured SUVs. It seems a simple task, but in a volatile country, every operation has to be carried out with care and precision. Just ask Private Cassandra Neal. Born in Adelaide, she's one of a handful of women who'll protect female mentors.
It's really good. The blokes treat the women just the same. Like at the end of the day, we're all Australian soldiers.
For these soldiers who are now just 2 months from deployment, this is as close as their training gets to the real thing. Simulating scenarios like this is vital because when they get to Afghanistan, they'll face similar dangers every day.
But it's always exciting to go on deployment, regardless of how dangerous. You know, we're representing the Australian people, the Australian nation, and that's a great honour.
In Coltana, Mark Mooney, 7 News.